And welcome back to Big Apple Hockey. I'm your host for tonight, John Filkowski. Follow me on Twitter at 92in82. And you can follow the ramblings of an absolutely psychotic Ranger fan. I say that tongue-in-cheek, but yeah, sometimes I can toe the line a little bit. I get a little crazy with this team. But I'm fun. I'm entertaining. I will say that. So, follow me on Twitter. I'm always posting about this team, always posting about hockey in general. So it's not just Rangers coverage you want, stuff around the league, whether we're talking about Connor McDavid and the season he's having, or whether it's the Seattle Kraken or I don't know, even the Arizona Coyotes. I watch all hockey, so I'm always talking hockey on my page. So definitely follow me on Twitter. Follow Marc as well. He's at Big Apple Hockey account. And then Anthony his account, I believe, is A.Larocco 0805. So follow him as well. And so we are back here for another episode of the Final Buzzer, breaking down Carolina or the Rangers' big 2-1 win over against the Hurricanes in Raleigh. And happy birthday, Davey, one of our very, very long-time listeners. Happy birthday to you. I'm hoping it's a good one for you. I hope you enjoyed that win tonight. So, so we'll be talking about a couple of things. But yes, be right, Igor is back. And Maddie, not the best performance, but you got to take the win. You got to take the win. So, you know what time it is. We're going to go at it again. The good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, so I'm going to mix this up tonight, do something a little different here. I'm going to start with the bad. So after, I would say the final maybe 25 to 30 minutes of the game on Tuesday, the Rangers kind of went into a tailspin in that game. They didn't play well, aside from the Kako answer back on the Chatfield goal. But the Rangers played a good first half of that game, and then the second half of that game was just not good at all. And the Mike Maniscalco and and Trip Tracy, the Carolina broadcast team, had said that all of these games this season had come down to who was the better team in the third period. And they were right, and they were right again tonight. So we're going to talk about the bad first. And it's not a ton of bad because it kind of is encompassed in a few small snippets here. But one of the things I was noticing was just poor execution on breakouts, passes not connecting. And this has been a common theme with this team this year. The passes have been just kind of malaise and not accurate. And guys are being led a little too far. Passes are a little too far out of reach in people's skates. The passes have just not been accurate, and the execution on breakouts are bad. Trouba and Miller had a sequence in the third period. It was a little later in the third period, too. I think there was about maybe 5 minutes left at that point. And Miller went across to Trouba, and Trouba didn't receive the pass well. And he fumbled it and turned the puck over. And it was a bad play. And that's what I mean. It's little things like that affect your breakout. Your breakouts have to be crisp and concise, and they just were not in this game. They for the first half of it at least, and they weren't in the second, or they weren't in the other game either on Tuesday. So in order to really play the game that the Rangers want to play, I mean, and just in general in hockey, you got to have a good first pass out of the zone. You really do, and it has been good. Adam Fox has been the one defenseman that's been consistently good to great at it, but the other defenders have not been good at it. Keandre Miller has not been good at it. And there are others that can just that need to be better. Ben Harper, I know we're not asking much from him just because he's really just a seventh defenseman at this point, and he's kind of filling in. I know you can't ask too much from him, but you still got to be able to make a good first pass out. Nico Mikkola has been okay, but you would like to see him be better at making that first pass out as well. So I don't know. I need more from this defense. I really do in terms of making that pass. And it seems like the forwards are not in the right position. What I will say in regard to that, and it's something that I should have made a caption for, would have been they're still over relying on that stretch pass. And that's not going to work against a trapping team like Carolina. The way you need to beat a team like Carolina is you need to break out as a 5-man unit, and you need to have short, fast, crisp, and concise passes going from player to player through that neutral zone. So you can move out with speed as a 5-man unit. That's how you beat the trap. And Carolina knows that they can play that game against the majority of teams. The majority of teams can't handle that. The Rangers have to get away from the stretch pass and start simplifying their breakouts. Yeah, Dave, I get it. For, how about just getting a pocket at the zone? But this all plays into that. So, yeah. Hey, Kurt, yeah, gritty win, but not a recipe for success. So, yes, I do agree with all this. And I do agree with you, B. Right here. Mikkola had a good game. I do agree he actually played somewhat well. The other thing I'll say in regard to that is the slow start. They need to have their feet moving early, and they've got to be ready to go from the start. This has been something that's been going on through Gallant's tenures. They've been plagued with inconsistency. Needs to end. They need to start showing up for games on time, and they need to start playing a good full 60 minutes of hockey. And they didn't do that tonight, but they managed to get a win. That's all I have for the bad.
Ooh, that's bad.
I'm going to go to the ugly. And the ugly with this was that they were just dominated in that first period. Just absolutely dominated. 3 shots total in the first. And then I would say even in the first 30 minutes of the game, they were outplayed. They were better in the second, but they were just absolutely dominated in the first period. If it wasn't for Igor, the Rangers would have been blown out of the building 4-0 by, I would say, the end of the first period. They would have had no chance of winning that game. Igor Shesterkin was on his game tonight, and that was the reason why they weren't down by several goals at the end of the first, with no goals to show for it. So, yes, totally agree with, they've got to be better moving out of the zone, and all the other comments I've seen in regards to that first period in the first half of the game. Absolutely agree. But we're going to move on to the good. So, speaking of Igor, vintage Igor, 29 saves on 30 shots, looked like he was back to Vezina form tonight. This is what you want to see from Igor Shesterkin. Yeah, this is it. Cora should have put the power play. But at this point, I think it's a Gallant thing. I don't understand why he just can't get the units correct. I really don't. Yeah, 1 shot on goal and 5-on-5 in the first period. 1 shot. Just terrible. Terrible. But Igor, vintage. Great. Phenomenal. Was excellent. Kept them in that game. Gave them a chance to win, and they won because of him. They absolutely won because of Igor. The big guns come through. Panarin, Zibanejad, Tarasenko, Fox with points. Panarin a 2-point game, goal and assist. That's what you want to see. And Artemi Panarin got better as the game went along. And this is what you're going to need against teams like Carolina in the playoffs. You're going to need your big guys to produce. And the big guys, they produce tonight. The Rangers bend, but they don't break. Kurt, thank you. Where's the speed? Yeah, this team needs to start moving their feet. This team has speed. They need to start moving their feet. That's the issue. And they need to start showing up for games on time. And they need to be much better with that. That's a leadership thing and a coaching thing. and they need to be better in that regard. But they bend, they don't break. And that's a lot of pressure coming from Carolina. Carolina sends their defensemen, and they send, and they push the play, and they push the pace, and they present the issue. And you know what? You have to be on your feet and on your toes to play against a team like Carolina. The Rangers were on their heels for a while, but they eventually found an opening. And then once they scored that first goal, things started going in the Rangers' favor. So they bent for a while, but under immense pressure, they did not break. That's the type of game you're going to have to play in the playoffs sometimes against a team like Carolina. So good for them to survive that. Much better defensive effort. The slot and net front coverage were much better, especially late. Schneider made 2 plays in front late, including one on Marc that saved what would have been a surefire goal. I saw Fox made some plays in front. I was happy with Mikkola and his net front presence, moving guys out of the crease. This was the coverage that they needed. And yeah, I'll move away from my point for a second here because I've seen this mentioned by several of you in the chat. Tarasenko was great tonight. Tarasenko was the game's best all-around player tonight. I thought he was awesome. I loved seeing him knock Sebastian Aho right on his ass because I want somebody to punch that. I can't stand him. I want to say a bunch of choice words about him, but I really want somebody to punch him straight in the face. I would love to have seen like Harper just absolutely cave his face in. So, yeah, Tarasenko was great. Tarasenko was absolutely great tonight. But the better overall defensive effort, the net front coverage was much better. I thought as the game went along, they got a lot better defensively. And it was the exact opposite of the last game where they played a great defensive game for the first half of it and then fell apart in the second half of the game, especially after the Chatfield goal. That was a real deflating of the sails there with that Chatfield goal on Tuesday. But the Rangers did that to Carolina tonight. So Carolina got a bit of their own medicine there. Wasn't a soft goal. It was actually a great goal. But, yeah, the Rangers quick strike and Carolina ended up losing their steam from it. And I think Carolina, they want to push the play all the time. I think they tired themselves out too. I think that's part of it. A much better final 30 minutes of the game. Much better as opposed to the first half of the game and the second half of the game on Tuesday. So this is what this team needed to do. This is the game that they needed to play. They needed to be much better, and they responded. And the third period that they needed to have was the one that they had tonight. Especially after Tuesday's letdown in the third, this was the response that they needed. They were of a fragile mindset coming into this game after that. And this could have been a game where Carolina just poured it on and, Carolina took the lead. But you know what? Terrible play from Carolina late in the third or in the third period. And the Rangers turned it around on them. And it was a great effort from the Rangers. They needed to be a hell of a lot better. They really forced the play and started giving Carolina a taste of their own medicine with pinning them in their own zone and the forecheck and the cycling and the give and goes and all the shots on net. The Rangers probably could have scored, I would say, another 2 to 3 goals in the third, especially somewhere between, I would say, the 12-minute and the 5-minute mark or so. But Anderson was really good. And he wasn't tested early, but when he got tested in the third, he stepped up. So I'll give him that. And that was, and you really, when you think about it, they won a playoff type of hockey game. I mean, the Carolina announced team said that this had all the feelings of a playoff game, and it was when you look at it, and it was absolutely a playoff game tonight. And the Rangers played the type of game that Carolina didn't want them to play. They took Carolina's best shot, and they just served it right back to them. And Carolina, I'll tell you right now, they're worried. They're definitely worried after that. Because now Igor has played great against them in 2 straight starts. Their guys are going to start, the Rangers' top guns are going to start scoring against them. And the depth hasn't even started scoring yet against them. Like Tyler Mott got the first goal in the first game, but the kid line hasn't scored yet. So just wait until the kid line starts scoring against Carolina. That's going to be a problem. Yeah, and this is exactly how you have to play Carolina. Your forecheck and sight will have to be on point. You're going to have to put shots on the net, and you're going to have to break the puck out of the zone efficiently. That's what you're going to have to do. And this was really a big showing for the Rangers. And I'm with you on this, Joe. It's nice to have a top 6 skill player like, well, yeah, Kako scored, but I'm talking consistently. So, but I do agree with this. Anderson's not great. You got to test him more. So I agree with that. But in this regard, I'm talking more consistently. Like that kid line has not started really, really putting up the goals like they were earlier on in the year. And then when you saw them in the playoffs last year, they were scoring consistently. That kid line gets going, forget about it. The Rangers are going to be a real problem for everybody. Sorry, I had the worst case of dry mouth there. Capitals win 6-1. Ovechkin gets his 41st goal of the year. The Predators win 2-1 over the Kraken in a shootout. Golden Knights are up 2-1 on the Flames right now. Dallas and Pittsburgh tied 1-1. Second intermission. And yeah, I agree with this. Hino's been pretty cold. The line goes how Phil goes. Yeah, he's the key guy on that line right now. Yeah, work the body, kill the legs. Physical play kills speed. I hate to say this, but 2014 Stanley Cup Finals. Perfect example of it. 3-1 against the Canes, should be 4-0. Yeah, but lost the game. Yeah, I agree with the Iceman. I agree. Should have been 4-0. Should have won that game. They let off the throttle. Can't do that. Got to play 60 minutes against Carolina. It's kind of a reversal this time around. They weren't on the throttle, and then they got on the throttle late in the game, and they won it. The Rangers simply wanted it more in the third period, and that's what that comes down to. They want it more, and that's how it is. Not really talking about the Islanders right now. Nothing really to talk about. It's a Rangers breakdown, my friend. So, yeah, I think Anthony should be doing. I don't know what his schedule is with doing his post games for the Islanders, but definitely follow the group for more information on that. I know it's harder with the kids for Anthony. So, single, not married, no kids. So, reminds me of early 70s Rangers Bruins. Yeah, in a way, I guess. I mean, I wasn't around for that, so I can't really comment too much on it. I've seen some clips, but I'd imagine the rivalry aspect of it is pretty accurate. ESPN's intermission crew with PK Subban and Ryan Callahan. All right, so I'll address this comment here from you, Iceman. Harper, I don't dislike Harper. I don't think he's somebody you want playing regular minutes at the NHL level. I don't mind him spot filling in as a sixth defender. I will say this. Harper is playing against worse competition than Trouba and Miller. So you got to factor that in when saying something like this. And I get it. I'm hard on Trouba and Miller. I'm tough on them. They need to be better. They need to be more consistent. I'll say that I will give them the benefit of the doubt in the fact that they are playing against much better competition on a shift-to-shift basis than Harper is. Harper might get the odd shift where he ends up against a team's top line on accident, but they are not deploying Harper against teams' top lines purposefully. So that's the one thing I will say in regard to that. Stars above the city. I don't believe I've seen you in here before. Welcome to the show. If not, my apologies. But I do agree with they need to be more physical. It seemed like when they ramped up the physicality, they got better, and Carolina did definitely bully them a bit in the first and the second. So, yeah, B-Right, I'm with you here. I said this on Twitter that Miller has been very inconsistent in the last 10 games or so. I would say in the last month and change, he hasn't been the same. He's got to be better. He's got to play more like he did the first half of this season and the second half of last season. And in the playoffs, obviously. So Harper's smarter at getting the puck out than Miller. Miller makes, but yeah, you know what? Miller does make some boneheaded passes, but Harper's not good at getting the puck out of the zone. He doesn't make a good first pass. Harper does something simple, but more times than not, he just flips the puck out of the zone and gets it out, and it ends up as a turnover. Miller can actually skate the puck out. So, Everest asking if we should worry about Lindgren's injury. I don't think so. I think they should just rest him the rest of the season more than like it. Miller, to me, Dave says Miller is more like a forward. He started playing defense before he went to Wisconsin. So Miller's been playing defense for about like 6 years now. I definitely understand the concern with that, but I just think that I think it's more of him trying to find himself, while adding offense, and it's tough. It really is. And I say this as a forward, as a winger who went to defense, and it was tough to really learn defense and to learn how to play the position and learn gap control and learn positioning and where to be at the right times in the zone and learn how to feed off of your partner. These are all things that are tough to learn. It's not easy, but I'll tell you right now, Miller has done I would say an exceptional job for the most part. It's just he sometimes makes mistakes that you don't make in Pee-wee. So, throwing the puck up the middle's got to stop with him too. Michael Sullivan says, I think these games will serve the Rangers well in the playoffs. Yeah, I think so. I do agree with this. Everest says, can we win a cup with this defense? That's going to be determined, Everest. Maddie says, you put Lindgren on LTIR, call up Brodzinski and Hayek as extra cover. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know. I think Lindgren's probably close, but not 100% ready yet. I would rest him, though. So I don't think they want to put him on LTIR. Iceman says, I didn't like Mikkel at first, but he's playing pretty good. Yeah, you know what? Mikkel had a rough start with the Rangers. I think he took too many penalties early on, but he's really calmed himself down. He's played a lot better, and he's actually played pretty good hockey, stepping up to play on that top pairing with Fox, all things considered. Ooh, this is a good question from Mikey. Do I think they attempt to make a matchup third line this offseason? Wonder if they stick with 3 scoring lines again. I don't think they would. I just think that they want to keep the kids going the way that they're going. I think you do have to make a decision on the kids sooner than later. The surplus of left wingers makes it a tough go with Lafreniere, and that's a problem. Ideally, you'd be able to move Chris Kreider and try to have Alexis Lafreniere be your other top six winger so you can save cap and address other areas. But Kreider has proven that he's a legitimate top-line winger, top-line left winger, and he's definitely a very good second-line left winger as well. So it doesn't seem like they're going to move Chris Kreider anytime soon. Artemi Panarin is obviously going nowhere. And I would say, if anything, you're looking at maybe making a decision on Kaapo Kakko. And that's one thing I worry about. It's because what happens if you make the decision, you move him for more of a matchup type player, and it ends up being he ends up having this great career elsewhere. So that would be real rough to deal with. Chris Drury's going to have a lot on his plate this offseason, tell you that, though. David Glazer, welcome to the show. I don't think I've seen you here before either. They need a puck-moving defenseman. Yeah, I like the idea of having a good puck mover. I think they have good puck movers already, but I think I want more of a two-way guy. A guy like maybe like a Matthias Ekholm type. So Mikey D says he feels that Lafreniere is safe. Could be a Trocheck or more. Kakko, not so much. Hedl, yeah. I get why people want to move on from Kaapo Kakko. I mean, it's 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. This is his fifth season. But I will say this. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and now 23. And now Hedl is finally broken out after about 5.5 to 6 seasons. He broke out in the playoffs last year, broke out in the regular season again this year. So I really would I would be careful with giving up on Kaapo Kakko. You never know. Iceman says the only mistake he thinks Drury makes was not putting Lindgren on LTIR. Yeah, I think they thought Lindgren was gonna be good by the end of the season. Gavrikov would have been nice. If they could have gotten Vladislav Gavrikov, it would have been nice, but I just don't know how they would have done that. Ekholm like I said on the show yesterday, I think Matthias Ekholm might be the most impactful trade deadline acquisition out of all the acquisitions that were made. I just think all around his all around play has just been really, really good. He has impacted Edmonton big time. Excuse me. Kakko has played 200 games. Relax, says B-Rye. Mikey D says, Drury has to balance this. How long can they wait to move Kakko for better established guys with the core that they have entering their near mid-30s in a couple of years? It's a good point. Get it. Yeah, they're trying to balance patience with the kids while trying to win a cup. Something has to give. Yeah. B-Rye says, no trading Laugh or KK. Kakko. John D. Lee says, Kakko going on a scoring run? I mean, I'm here for it. Bud. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if the kids could really start scoring consistently. This is a good one here from Corp. Interested to see where Othman fits in next year. Yeah, he's another left wing. He can play right, but he looks like he projects more as a left winger. So Diane says, happy that they beat the Trap. Big win tonight. Absolutely. You're going to use your Andrew Kopp magic to manifest that? Kurt asking, who would rather face? Hurricanes or Devils? Take the Devils, and you would love to beat them. You know what? I understand. I can see arguments for both teams. The Devils are inexperienced. Carolina's hurt, and they don't have much scoring. But all those games are going to be tight games, 2-1, 3-2 games. I think they could beat both teams. Kurt saying Hockey News projected Othman for the 2025 lineup. Yeah, I mean, I get that he probably would be in the AHL next year. It depends on what he does in training camp. If he blows them away in training camp, he might just win a spot. So who knows? Oh, man, Pittsburgh. Almost a goal there from Ryan Poehling. Oh, man. So Mikey, here, I get what you're saying and why you're saying this. You got to remember, Othman is, I mean, Kakko's a right wing. The Rangers don't have a lot of depth at right wing beyond Kakko that's signed for this year or signed beyond this year. Tarasenko and Kane are unrestricted free agents. I would love to get Vladimir Tarasenko back on this team. I just don't know if it's going to happen cap-wise. So, and yeah, I do agree that decision time is coming soon on that. B. Ryan with you. Anything short of an Eastern Conference Finals appearance is disappointment for this team. I think they need to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think they need to win it all with this team. Yep, it's 85 points for Crosby. He had a goal again tonight. It's 1-1 game right now in the third. About 18 minutes left in the game. Yeah, and this is the big question here. The round 2 matchup is really what you're going to look at. Is it the Canes or the Islanders? You might have to deal with Boston or whoever in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's going to be, a tough matchup as well. But yeah, that's going to be the big question. Stars above the city saying keep Vladdy. Yeah, I get why people want to keep Vladdy. I think Vladdy fit like a glove on this team. Iceman says you trade Kakko and use Othman, and you'll have the same 3-year wait. You know what? I think if Kakko really worked on his skating and his shooting, I don't think we'd have these problems. I think Kakko would score more, and I think he would turn into the top 6 winger that they want him to be. John Drizly says, depending on how we finish with our first round pick, do you draft a forward? I think you just draft best player available at this point. They could use another young defenseman. That's just me. Especially if you want to move Trouba after his no movement clause expires. So David Glazer saying and move Kreider's cap possible in order to keep Hedl. Yeah, I get why you would do that. I get why people want to do that. He's on the other side of 30. You expect him to slow down soon. So, yes, I get it. Kurt says, who says the Islanders are making the playoffs? Lots of hockey left. I mean, they're in a pretty good position right now. And we went over their schedule yesterday. And they have a fairly easy schedule, I would say. It's not a terrible one, but it's also not easy. It's somewhat easy, not super easy, but I think they could. They definitely can make the playoffs. I think they will. I just think they're a better team. Brock Nelson's not going to miss time apparently, so they're going to be all right in that regard. Yeah, and Kako and Laugh definitely need some power speed skating lessons. Yes, I definitely agree with that. Mikey D says a lot of options. Drury has his hands full, maybe between Gallant Fire and the UFAs. Kids, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, this off season is going to be interesting. Carter can't be moved yet. Trouba's the contract needs to be moved. Trouba can't be moved yet either. Neither of them can be moved this offseason. Won't have a first-round pick because they're making the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, we would hope so. So most of the team does, but they have an excuse. They're old. Islanders are getting bounced in the first. B-Rye says, I don't know. If they face Boston, I think so. I don't see them beating Boston. Sorokin could steal a series, but I just think the Bruins are too good of a team for the Islanders. So I like the 1 versus 8 too. I hate this current format. I think it sucks. I think you get too many repeat matchups, and I hate the wild card. I hate the wild card. Just 1 through 8. 1 through 8, and stop worrying about wild cards. Give 1 and 2 to the division leaders, and then the other 6 spots are the next 6 best teams. Doesn't matter what division. It was like when the NHL had the 3 divisions in each conference, and the Southeast was a joke every year. Yet their division winner was 3rd, and yet 4 and 5 would consistently finish with more points than they did. Just, I hated that. Yeah, I get it, Kurt. I agree. I would love to unload Trouba. Trouba would be the first guy I would unload. And I'm with you, Cora. I think the Islanders can beat the Hurricanes. I think they play more of a – I think they match up good against them. And I think that I think, if anything, you look at just the goaltending is just a complete advantage for the Islanders. And Sorokin is consistently really good in net. So I just don't like – the only thing I would say is it's actually in the Islanders' favor is that I actually like the Islanders' depth better than I like the Hurricanes' depth at this point. 1 through 8 makes more sense because these games, we would have a legitimate shot at home ice and we would get Toronto round 1, which would be interesting. Yeah. I don't think they would lose to Toronto. I don't. Someone's hurt in the Dallas game, in the Dallas-Pittsburgh game. Someone just got hit right in the head. Oh, Colin Miller. He's not looking good after that one. Hopefully he's okay. How would I feel if the NHL did a combination of both conferences, 1 versus 16? I mean, that would be interesting, but I think logistically it wouldn't work just because there's too much travel. The NHL tried to cut down on travel costs and make more divisional games. So I don't think they would do that, but it would be interesting to see. I can tell you that much. I mean, I'd rather 1 through 16 than this wild card crap that they have right now. It sucks. I hate this playoff format. I hope they change it. Yeah, I'm probably going to do another, I would say, like maybe 10 minutes or so. So get your questions in, comments in. Just going to do that for a little bit, and then I'm probably going to try to relax, maybe watch a game in bed on my phone. So, yeah, I'm definitely with you on this, Core. The play-in, I hate it. I mean, I know the Rangers made the play-in and they lost to Carolina in 2020, but the play-in is just stupid. I hate the NBA's format. I hate it. I don't. I didn't see anything heard about the NHL committing to the play-in. Oh, said they would not do the play-in. Yeah, because I was about to say I didn't see anything about them committing to the play-in. Yeah, B-Rye, listen, I get it. It's something different. I just think that it just logistically it doesn't make enough sense for them to do it. I think it also ramps up financial costs, and that's another reason why they're not going to do that. Say the Devils beat the Rangers, they will be competitive, but they have no experience in playoffs. And Timo Meier, trade deadline only has 5 points. Yeah, Timo Meier, listen, I'm going to say this. Everybody adjusts at their own rate to playing on a new team. There are several factors. Marc Messier was talking about it in one of the games against the Penguins. I think it was the ABC game. Messier was talking about how like there's all different factors in terms of adjusting, your where your practices are, your pregame routines, where you're living, how far it is from the rink, your commutes. All this changes. Everything that changes when you get traded from one team to another. So I'm not going to jump on Timo Meier, but if you're a Devils fan, you have to at least be a little concerned that Meier is not playing well right now. Kane with the Rangers, I believe, has 6 points in 8 games. Am I correct? I have to. 7 points in 10 games. Sorry. 7 points in 10 games. So. Ryan Spooner was good for the. Yeah. You want to see something crazier? I remember when Andy Hilbert got traded from the Islanders to the Penguins, or he got traded. I think it was the Bruins to the Penguins actually, and he was like playing with Sidney Crosby, and he was like a point per game with them in 05-06. Okay, so it was actually Chicago to Pittsburgh, and it was before the 2006 trade deadline, and he ended up having 7 goals and 18 points in 19 games playing with Sidney Crosby. So, yeah, David, I agree with you. And they need to be better on the forecheck, and if that doesn't change, you're right. They'll be out quickly. I do agree with you there. Anthony Sconzo, a win is a win. Yeah, I get it, but you definitely want to be better than what they were tonight. So Tarasenko also had 7 points in his first 10 games. You got to let these players adjust. Listen, and that's why I'm going to say that I'm not going to jump on Timo Meier. I'm not going to jump on him. It's pointless to jump on him for something like that. Tarasenko has 13 points in 20 games with the Rangers. So he's got 6 more points in his following 10 games. He didn't mention Kane because I think the Rangers have more firepower and better goaltender than. Yeah, I really don't think the Devils are built for the playoffs. I don't. I just think they're too inexperienced. I think the goaltending is questionable. The defensive group as a whole, they play better than the sum of their parts. Their parts are not great overall. They play a good forechecking game. They play good in transition. They're very fast, but I think come playoff time, I think they will get exposed. It's hard to forecheck when you're a slower team. Yeah. What's going on, Davey? The Devils play a run-and-gun game like Florida last year. Yeah. Sort of, I would say. What do I think is the ideal power play one? That's actually a good question. Zibanejad in the Ovechkin spot. I would say probably Kane on the far side wall or Lafreniere there. Kreider net front, Fox point. I would say Panarin, the other point. I like Tarasenko on the far side right-hand boards as well with the left-handed shot. Because I always look at Tampa Bay's setup. Stamkos, Ovechkin spot, point bumper, Kucherov, right side boards with the left-hand shot, Hedman point, and either Palat or whoever else you want to put there, Hagel, down low. So I like that configuration. So I would love to see Tarasenko on that other side, Zibanejad on the left side with their offhands for the easy one-timers and shots and passes. And then you could go with then you could go with Fox at the point, Kreider in front, and then you could maybe put Lafreniere in the bumper spot. So playoffs are tighter and harder hitting, and Hughes is soft. I would love to play the. Yeah, I get why, people. We have no bumper, too much perimeter play. Yeah. And I'm glad everybody enjoys Final Buzzer. I like doing these. I don't do them enough, but I do like doing these. David Wood says, I don't think it was a bad game. I think they had a bad first period and they picked it up. Yeah, it's pretty much on par with what I'm saying, David. Do another few minutes. Probably. Just because I am a little tired, so. So, guys, get your last questions in. Sorry about being a little short, but definitely a little tired. So, gonna go try to lay down. Oh yeah, this is a great point. The Igor save on Jesse Puljujarvi absolutely changed the game. Oh, Kurt, you're ahead of me. Yeah, you're ahead of me. Yep, it just went in. Pavelski deflection, power play. Love it. Yeah, Tarasenko has 13 points. That's why I said 13 points in 20 games. No, don't be sorry. You didn't know that. Not your fault, buddy. You're probably about, I would say, about maybe 10 seconds ahead of me. Against teams like Carolina, who on the PK are very aggressive, Rangers should set up the reverse umbrella. Get the puck low in the zone and cycle. Yeah, you know what? I kind of like that idea. If Carolina's going to play aggressive, you gotta be really moving your feet, and that puck's got to move quick. So I think the reverse umbrella actually helps with that. I do like that formation. The other thing they got to start doing is they've got to start using the one-timer more. They got to go from low to high, and they got to fire off those one-timers a lot quicker. And that'll really help with aggressive teams like that. That'll combat the aggression. Oh, Pittsburgh almost had the chance there. Oof. Man, Dallas is doing everything that they can to try to ward off Pittsburgh there. Oof. The big, thick Vladdy energy. Yeah, everybody was talking about Vladdy's legs. I love the Forsberg on Aho. Yeah. Kane played really dirty tonight. Yeah, they got away with a lot of garbage. They did, Diane. All right. Well, be right. Yeah. I'll go 5 more minutes. Final questions, comments, and hit me with what you got here. Little Pat Benatar, hit me with your best shot. Is Lundgren really injured, or is it better safe than sorry? I'd say better safe than sorry. I think that he's just a little nicked up again. Ooh, Dallas with a 3-on-2, and they. Oh, Oh, Jamie Benn goal. 3-1 Dallas. Let's go. Oh, you hate that song? Hit me with your best shot? No. Anthony's smiling right now. Yeah. Well, I am too, just because I can't stand Pittsburgh, and I want to see Florida take that last spot. Yeah. So So Trip Tracy was trying to say that there was head contact on the Jimmy VC hit. Are you like? I'm sitting there like, okay, like, are these guys? Is Trip Tracy channeling his inner Andy Brickley or Jack Edwards there? Because those are the two biggest homers in the league, and Trip Tracy was it was horrible watching him. I'm sorry, but that was such a biased broadcast. Terrible. Like, he was trying to say that hit was high? Like, is he kidding? I don't think they should have put him on LTIR. I don't think he was ready, though. That's the one thing I will say. I don't think he was ready. I don't have any word on that, B-Ryan. But I mean, that's possible. I didn't hear anything. How about the Kako headlock? Yeah. Yeah, VC threw. That was probably the biggest hit I think I've ever seen VC throw. Yeah, Kakaniemi slew-footed Lindgren, and that led to the last goal against. Butch Goring, yeah, Butch Goring's bad. He's bad. Great to finally start seeing the Caps and the Pens going downhill. They've been dominating. Yeah, agree. Sam and Joe are way too neutral. I need the big. No, you know what? I like the neutrality. I don't like homerism, and I get why it happens with Matt Roy. 12th goal of the year for Vegas. That was a nice one. But Sam and Joe are way too neutral. I disagree. I like the neutrality. I don't like even when the locals are homers. Like, I get it. You're supposed to probably show a little more excitement for, the home team when they score. But like when Columbus scores, like, their guys are just so deflated and just blah. It sucks. Like, it's just like, okay, like, you know what? Sam gets excited when the other team scores. So, yeah, B-Rye, I would agree. This is the best fourth line we've had in quite some time, probably since the Boyle, Moore, and Carcillo/Dorsett fourth line that went to the Stanley Cup Finals. You know what? I think Brendan Burke is one of the best in the league. Hands down. And that's why he's on the national feeds. Brendan Burke is amazing. He's great at what he does. I would gladly take him as Sam Rosen's successor after Sam retires. I would take him in a heartbeat if Howie Rose wasn't going to take the job, or Kenny Albert. But Brendan Burke is great. He's definitely a little more of a homer when he calls the Islanders, when he's not calling them nationally, when he's calling them for MSG. But I think part of that is Butch Goring. But I will say this. There was a game that I was watching with my uncle last year. I forget who the Islanders were playing. And Butch Goring said that wouldn't have been, said that there was a penalty called against the Islanders. And Butch Goring said that wouldn't have been a penalty, something along the lines of that wouldn't have been a penalty in like the 80s when he played. And Brendan Burke, there was a silence, and then Brendan Burke just went and said, Butch, I think that would have been a penalty in any era. And I lost my shit laughing, because I was like, wow, did Butch Goring's broadcast partner just call him out for being a homer. Because it's basically what it was. So Sam is 100 times better at calling football. It's slowing up to his speed. You know what? I do like Sam Rosen calling football. He is good at it. I will say that. Yeah, Brendan does clown Butch from time to time, and I think Butch needs to be clowned from time to time because he gets over the top with the homerism, and some of the things he says are so just off the wall and outlandish. Oof. Big Daddy, haven't seen you in a while. Rick Jenneret was underrated. Rick Jenneret was definitely not underrated. He's regarded as one of the very best to ever do it. So he's definitely not underrated. And I could sit there and listen to Rick Jenneret calls all day. His Dave Hannon call in the 94 playoffs against New Jersey, I think it was Game 4 of Pittsburgh, just scored 3-2 game. But Dave, the Dave Hannon call, where it goes, oh, Dave Hannon on the back end, and this series is going back to where Jimmy Hoffa is, and just like, I think that was one of the funniest calls I've ever heard in my life, but it was also just a great call. His Alexander McGillney, Alexander McGillney, who says that man is afraid to fly? He left a vapor trail, and just stuff like that, and you're just like, oh, the Dominic Hasek one, oh, we are not worthy, and just like, oh my God, his calls were just, yeah. The La Fontaine, yeah, just, and the fa la Fontaine, Richard Schmelik, a wounded duck on Thanksgiving, Legion of Doom, Are You Ready? That's a great one. Well, there's just a countless number of great Rick Jenneret calls. They're good. They're scary good. Mayday. I mean, Rick Jenneret's one of the best that's ever done it. And it's a shame that he just never got to call the national games because he was energy. He was pure energy. Yes, David Wood. I am talking about Rick Jenneret, the legendary, now retired Sabres play-by-play guy. For years for Empire and then MSG for the Buffalo Sabres. Just wow. Yeah, and this pretty much comes down to it. I think I could listen to Rick Jenneret call people's everyday lives, and he would make it sound interesting. I really do think he would. But you know what? And it's not like he was like that all the time either. He just knew when to bring the energy and when to turn it up to 11. And yeah. Doc was very good. I know a lot of people will say Doc was the best. I think Gary Thorne was the greatest. That's just me. It's just my opinion. I get why people say Doc Emmerich, and he was great at it. Absolutely. But I would put Gary Thorne at 1 and Doc Emmerich at 2. I love Sam Rosen. He would be in my top 5 to 10. Rick Jenneret would be in my top 5 to 10. So, but there's also guys on TSN, Harry Neal, Ron Cole and Harry Neal were just a great tandem for Hockey Night in Canada for all those years. If you ever got to listen to them, Jim Houston, amazing. Jim Houston's one of the best to ever do it. Jim Houston's in my top 10. I used to love watching Vancouver games. I've had center ice every year since probably about 2002, and that was the year that the Naslund, Morrison, Bertuzzi line broke out. And I tell you right now, with them and then the Sedins as their second line, that Vancouver team was fun to watch for 02, 03 and 04, those Vancouver teams were an absolute treasure to watch. And Jim Houston was just great calling those games. They were fun games to watch because Vancouver was such a high-powered offense, and they were really, really fun to watch. It's shame that they didn't get to win a cup, but you know what? I had a lot of fun watching those games late at night, especially their games against Colorado, man. Ooh, Colorado and Edmonton, and just a lot of those Northwest Division battles back then. I'm not really a huge fan of Sean McDonough. Not really a huge fan of him. Oh yeah, the Gary Thorne call for Paul Kariya off the floor on the board. Absolutely. Kenny Albert was great. Worst announcer of all time? I don't know who the worst announcer of all time would be. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. Another guy who doesn't get a lot of credit, who's actually amazing if you stay up to watch him, is Randy Hahn in San Jose. Randy Hahn and Drew Remenda were a long-time tandem in San Jose. Jamie Baker came into play as well. Jamie Baker was one of the older OG Sharks. But tell you, Randy Hahn's a great one. I do enjoy listening. Like if San Jose is playing a team, then yeah. I don't know if you're talking about John Forsland. John Forsland is now with Seattle, and John Forsland's one of the best in the league. He's probably the best in the league right now, I would say. Tom Capellini, yeah, I agree with you. It shouldn't take 3 periods to get serious. So, yeah, I do enjoy myself some John Forsland, though. That's a good part about Seattle games, is you got probably the best play-by-play guy in the league right now, and I love watching John Forsland call games. He's so good at it. Carolina was blessed to have him for years, but I'm happy that he's in Seattle. He calls a team that I can actually root for, funny enough, and now it's just you need someone like that to help make those games exciting and grow the game. And John Forsland was the perfect guy for it. So I'm glad he took that job. And I'd imagine it had something to do with longtime connection to Ron Francis. So the worst play-by-play guy, I think, is Joe Buck. I just think he's so anti-New York. It's tough for me to watch him. There are times where he's just very lethargic with calls, and he makes the situation and the event seem like it's far less important than it actually is. And I don't like that at all. I think that's terrible. I think that it's just unprofessional. And the fact that he literally cannot put aside his hatred for New York teams is just terrible. Terrible. Yeah, he might be legacy, but I think he's terrible. So, yeah, and just yeah. Yeah, it screams big game when he calls a game, but he doesn't give you that feeling. He just doesn't, especially in the big moments. Paranoid. You could call whatever you want. It's not a paranoia thing. It's apparent. I don't know how you don't see this. Why does he hate New York teams? I don't know. He's been called out for it. Artie Lang even called him out for it. There's no paranoia here. But I mean, he just It's terrible. Like, you just look at the Yankees calls and look at some of the other calls he has for some of the other teams. You see that he hates New York. And Edwards, and somebody said Jack Edwards was great before. I don't know about that. I mean, he's not terrible, but I wouldn't say he's great. I just, when you can't put aside your homerism for like 2 seconds, I just, to me, that kind of takes away from you. Oh, man. But I'm going to wrap this up. The Dallas-Pittsburgh game is coming to an end. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all for coming on. I appreciate it. It was last minute. But yeah, I'm trying to do a little more of these as of late. And I wasn't home for the game. Got home, so I decided to do one. But better than Senile Sam? Okay, I mean, or no, that's not the comment I wanted. It was this one. Yeah, I mean, Sam Rosen, it definitely is losing it a little bit, but I mean, I don't think he's full-blown senile. So, but yes, again, thank you all for joining on. I appreciate it. I'll try to do more of these, and now that the playoffs are coming, hopefully I can do one every game after the playoffs. I don't know if I'm going to be able to commit to that or not, but I'm going to try to. So I will definitely be doing more of these. So try to at least maybe do once a week from now on. We'll see what the schedule holds, but thank you all for coming on. Just remember, like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to grow this unit here. 10,000 subscribers is our next goal. So on behalf of all three of us, we appreciate you all joining us, and we appreciate you tuning in. Keep tuning in. Keep giving you more comments, and maybe we'll have some more calls of Lou where Lou threatens to kill Marc or something like that, just for everybody's entertainment. So take care, everybody. Let's go Rangers. Have a good night.